You're all set, Rob.
Okay, great. Good evening and welcome to the design public hearing for I-495 over Merrimack River and Route 113 and Industrial Ave over I-495 project. MassDOT project file number 609466. I'm Rob Antico from MassDOT. Before we get into the presentation, I'll pass off to Joe Yu, our producer, so he can explain some things about how the presentation works. Joe?
Thanks, Rob. Before we begin tonight's presentation, I'd like to go over some basic Zoom webinar controls. There are two main ways that you can engage with our panelists tonight. First is the Q&A box, where you can type out your questions and share comments. And you can also use your raised hand function, where you can utilize your microphone and verbalize any questions or comments you may have. For users dialing in, please press *9 or Alt-Y to raise your hand. If you are unable to access the internet or are having any technical problems throughout the meeting, please call into the meeting at 646-931-3860 with the webinar ID 815-9705-9277. If you are having trouble with the technology during the presentation, you can please call the 888-799-9666 number. Please note that closed captioning is automatically generated by Zoom, so it may not be entirely correct. This slide goes over our public meeting notes and procedures. This virtual public meeting hearing will be recorded. The Massachusetts Department of Transportation may choose to retain and distribute the video, images, audio, and or chat transcript. All parts of this hearing are considered a public record, so by continuing attendance with this public hearing, you are consenting to participate in a recorded event. If you are not comfortable being recorded, please turn off your camera and keep your microphone muted. You may also choose to excuse yourself from the meeting entirely. Other important notes: your microphone and webcam are automatically disabled upon entering this hearing. This hearing will be open for questions and answers at the end of the formal presentation. There will also be a time to respond to a quick survey at the end of the hearing. Your feedback is very important to the success of the department. All questions and comments are welcomed and appreciated. However, we request that you refrain from any disrespectful comments to our panelists tonight. And this slide shows MassDOT's policy on diversity and civil rights. All MassDOT activities, including public meetings, are free of discrimination. We welcome the diversity from across our entire service area. So if you have any questions or concerns, please visit the Mass.gov website shown on the screen to reach the Office of Diversity and Civil Rights. Thank you for joining our meeting. We appreciate your participation. Back to you, Rob.
Okay, Joe, next slide. Okay, thank you very much, Joe. I'd like to begin by introducing the project team from MassDOT. I'm Rob Antico. I'm the project manager. We also have Frank Welch, the design build project manager, Dan Flurry and John Lee from District 4, and Michael Ruderman from the MassDOT Right-of-Way Bureau. And we also have Dan Fielding from MassDOT Legislative Affairs. We also have the preliminary design consultants here tonight from VHB. Tonight we have Tom Donald, the project manager, Katie Mancinelli, the structural lead, Scott Bruner, the highway lead, and Anu Agawal, the traffic lead. We also have a stenographer here tonight preparing the official transcript, which will be the public record. From Advanced Court Reporters, we have Melissa Lupo. Okay, tonight's hearing agenda. We'll start off with the project purpose and need, then discuss why this project was initiated, what we want to accomplish, and what the preferred alternative is. Then we'll discuss how the design has progressed and the project timeline. The right-of-way process will then be discussed, followed by the construction approach. Finally, we'll provide you with information on how we'll keep you informed about this project, and then open it up to questions and discussion. Shown here are the various ways the design public hearing has been advertised. Next slide. We also dropped off flyers and had staff available at several locations, as listed here on January 25th and January 26th. Next slide. And we would like to thank the folks on this list, on this slide here, for sharing the flyer. Thank you. Shown here is an overall plan of the project showing the limits of the work, both bridges, or all three sets of bridges over 110, 113, the Merrimack, and Industrial Ave. Why was this project initiated? The I-495 bridge over the Merrimack River was originally built in 1964. It's considered structurally deficient. Specifically, the existing superstructure is in poor condition, and the bridges have reached the end of their service life. This photo shows some of the beams and piers from where it crosses Merrimack Street. The poor condition is visibly noticeable. The Industrial Ave Bridge over I-495 was built in 1961 and also structurally deficient, with superstructures rated as poor. As with other bridges, these have also reached the end of their service life. So what do we want to accomplish with this project? We'll be replacing the northbound and the southbound bridges over Merrimack Street and the Merrimack River with 3 travel lanes and wider shoulders. As you can see from this photo of the existing bridge, the deck has numerous patches and substandard shoulders and guardrails. The bridges carrying Industrial Ave over I-495 will be replaced with a single bridge carrying 1 lane of traffic in each direction and wide shoulders for bike and pedestrian accommodations. During the preliminary design, we conducted an analysis of the current and proposed traffic volumes on the roadway and determined that 2 lanes in each direction are not necessary. So it will be replaced with a single bridge carrying 1 eastbound lane and 1 westbound lane, plus wide shoulders and sidewalks for bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. In addition, the roadway improvements, this project will also improve the vertical clearance over Route 110 and 113, which is Merrimack Street, provide a new noise wall in appropriate areas to buffer noise from I-495, and safely maintain 3 lanes of traffic at all times during construction. All work will be done within the existing right-of-way and will comply with all environmental regulations. The proposed design will actually decrease the bridge footprint in the Merrimack River, reducing impacts. These next few slides will cover how we arrive at the preferred alternative. We performed an alternative analysis first for I-495 and then later for Industrial Ave. We looked at many different alternatives with consideration of the highway cross-section. We had to provide 3 lanes in each direction with adequate shoulders and meet the design criteria for interstate highways. We also considered construction staging and how to provide for 3 lanes of traffic at all times during construction with consideration of the existing bridge conditions. We also considered the environmental permits that are required, the overhead and underground utilities, and right-of-way. And in addition to all of that, safety, mobility, and cost were also factors in evaluating the alternatives. Shown here are some of the project constraints. Back one slide, I think. Yeah. Shown here are some of the project constraints and other considerations. For instance, the state highway layout jogs in at the southwest corner of the bridge, which meant that any widening or new construction to the west may require the acquisition of right-of-way. There are two high-tension power lines that cross the northbound and southbound barrels of I-495, approximately where it crosses over Merrimack Street. We also intend to increase the vertical clearance of I-495 over Merrimack Street and Industrial Ave over I-495 to 16 feet 6 inches. Again, it's critical to keep 3 lanes of traffic on I-495 through the project due to the traffic volumes. Slide 21, Joe, please. What we ended up with, there you go. What we ended up with as a preferred alternative is a new alignment of the northbound barrel to the east of the existing barrel, and the existing northbound barrel is shown light. Back one slide, actually, Joe. Sorry about that. Okay, as you can see in this photo, the existing northbound barrel is shown lighter in the graphic, while the new alignment of the northbound roadway is shown distinctly. The southbound barrel will remain in its current alignment, however, it will be widened. Next slide. This plan shows a high-level view of the existing and the proposed alignment. You can see how the northbound barrel is shifting slightly east. In this sketch, you can see the northbound roadway shifted to the east from the existing roadway. You can also see the location of the proposed noise wall on the right. This slide shows the proposed southbound roadway section. Next slide. Here you can see the new cross section on the I-495 bridges with 3 12-foot travel lanes, a 10-foot shoulder, and an 18-foot shoulder, and new concrete barriers. This slide shows the new cross section of Industrial Ave Bridge with a center barrier, 2 12-foot travel lanes, 8-foot shoulders, and 6-foot wide sidewalks on each side. As we mentioned previously, a noise wall is proposed for this project. This slide shows the location and limits of the noise wall. The colored dots under the noise wall are the residents that will benefit from the new noise wall. Okay, this is an animation of the final configuration of the project. You can see that the sound wall is on the right. We're headed northbound on I-495 towards the new proposed bridges over the Merrimack. See the new span configuration, widened shoulders on each side of the 3 travel lanes. As we continue north towards Industrial Ave. And we're coming up to the proposed new Industrial Ave bridge. You can see the new span configuration with the pier in the center. One bridge with 1 lane in each direction and sidewalks on either side. How's the design progressed? This schedule shows the various stages of the project, beginning with data acquisition and conceptual layouts, through the environmental planning and permitting and preliminary design to where we are now in the design build procurement process and the project completion currently anticipated for 2031. As mentioned, this project will be procured through the design build delivery method. At this time, the 25% highway and bridge sketch plans have been submitted and reviewed. The geotech data has been obtained, as has the hydraulic analysis. Environmental permits have been drafted or submitted for Mass DEP, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Coast Guard. All permits will be included in the documents provided to the shortlisted build teams. Design build teams, that is. At this time, Michael Ruderman from the MassDOT Right-of-Way Bureau is going to discuss the right-of-way process. Michael?
Thank you, Rob. My name is Michael Ruderman. I'm one of the agents in MassDOT's right-of-way section. And as Rob mentioned previously, all of the work that we're proposing in tonight's presentation, we feel we can accomplish within the limits of the existing highway layout. Now that's, engineers speak for in between those two invisible lines that define the edges of the state's property. That's where we're going to be working. And according to the plans at the stage they are at now, we'll be able to do everything within that area. So we don't anticipate needing to take any permanent or temporary easements or any strips of land in fee possession. That's according to where we are right now at the 25% design level. If that changes, then the right-of-way section becomes the responsible party for acquiring that land. What happens at that point? I and my staff reach out to the individual property owners whose lands will be affected, and we'll contact you individually. And we'll make appointments to show you the plans, explain what's going to happen on your property, most importantly, how your rights are protected through the right-of-way process. The right to be informed, to have someone that you can ask questions of, how your property is going to be appraised, if anything does need to be taken, how you're going to be compensated for that property, and what your rights are even at the point where we present to you what we think is just compensation. But like I said, that's all theoretical at this point, just in case we need more land. At this stage of the project development, it looks like we can do everything that we need to do within the land that the state already owns. And with that, I'll pass it back to Rob.
Thanks, Michael. Now we'll talk more about the construction approach. Using the design build procurement, the final design and construction of the project are combined into a single contract. This allows for the contractor and designer to work together, which provides for innovation and potentially reduced costs and expedited delivery. MassDOT uses the best value procurement, meaning that both quality and costs are considered in determining the best value. A request for qualifications will be issued and teams respond with a statement of qualifications. These SOQs are evaluated and scored by the selection committee, and then the most qualified teams will be shortlisted and issued the request for proposals. Those teams then prepare a technical proposal and a price proposal. MassDOT will be moving through the procurement process over the next year, as shown on this timeline. Next slide. This next slide will show the anticipated construction staging for the mainline bridge. This slide just shows the existing conditions. In stage 1, the new northbound barrel will be built to the east of the existing northbound barrel. Traffic will remain on the existing bridges. In stage 2, northbound traffic will be diverted onto the newly constructed northbound bridge. Southbound traffic will remain on the existing southbound bridge. In the next stage, southbound traffic will be diverted onto the existing northbound bridge. In stage 4, the existing southbound bridge will be demolished and the new southbound bridge will be built in the same alignment. At this stage, southbound traffic will be placed onto the newly constructed southbound bridge and the old northbound bridge will be demolished. Now we're going to shift to the anticipated construction staging for Industrial Ave Bridge. On the left is the existing condition with two separate bridges, each carrying 2 lanes of traffic. On the right is stage 1, where half of the proposed bridge will be constructed in the area between the 2 existing bridges. On the new section of bridge, once the new section of bridge is constructed, the westbound traffic will be diverted onto it in a single lane. Then the existing westbound bridge can be demolished. While eastbound traffic is still on its existing bridge and westbound traffic is on the new section of bridge, the remaining half of the new bridge can be built. Once that's complete, westbound traffic will be moved onto the north side of the bridge. Eastbound traffic will then be diverted onto the eastbound portion of the new bridge, and then the existing eastbound bridge can be demolished. We want you to be aware of other aspects of this construction. There will be short-term detours on Merrimack Street, and construction activities will take place at night during certain phases. The design build team will be responsible for scheduling these events and obtaining the necessary approvals. So how will we keep you informed? On February 28th, we will be holding a meeting with the residents that are in the area of the proposed noise wall. During the final design and construction process, the design build team will also be providing public information meetings. Next slide. Okay, on this slide, you could see information on how you can contact us about this project, either through email, checking the website with that link, or the QR code, and you could also mail in some comments at the address listed. Okay, at this point, we'll open it up to question and answers for the audience. I'll now pass things over to Joe Yu, who will manage that process and explain a few things on how that's going to happen.
Thanks, Rob. Hi again, everyone. Thank you to our panelists, and thank you to those in the audience who took time out of their evenings to join us. So as I mentioned before, there are 2 main ways to interact with our panelists tonight. First is using the raised hand icon. That would put you in the queue to be unmuted and ask away your questions or share your comments. The other way is to write out your comments and questions using the Q&A function in the Q&A box. Before you provide your input, please state your name and affiliation, whether you're an abutter, a local official, or a concerned citizen. Since we do have quite a few people in the audience, please share only 1 question at a time, limited to 2 minutes to allow others to participate. If you're on the phone and you'd like to ask a question or share comments, please dial *9 and the moderator will call out the last digits of your phone number to unmute your audio when it's your turn. As I mentioned earlier, there is a survey. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey after the meeting to let us know how your experience was with this virtual meeting. All questions and comments are subject to disclosure for public records, so please use these functions for project-related businesses only. It is also standard procedure that we ask elected officials to offer their comments first. So I would like to see if there are any federal, state, or local elected officials that would like to speak at this time. Rob, do you see anyone? Don't think we have.
I think we'll let Dan Fielding possibly call on folks if he sees anyone on the list.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Joe. I actually do not see any electeds on, guys. If I missed anyone, please accept my apologies and feel free to participate as we move to the Q&A now by raising your hand speaking up. Again, I don't see anyone, so I think we're good to move to the Q&A, Joe.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Rob. Don't have any raised hands right now. We do have some questions from Courtney King in the Q&A box, asking how to find a final copy of the transcript after the meeting. Rob, it's going to take at least a couple weeks for us to get the final transcript, correct?
That's correct. And when we have it, we will post it on the website at the link shown if you want to scroll back to that.
Great. Yep. And Courtney's other comment was, can you put the QR code back up? So there you go, Courtney. Michael asks, will the hearing be posted? Yes, this hearing is being recorded and it will be posted on the webpage, correct, Rob?
That's correct.
All right, well, that's it for questions right at this moment. We also don't have any raised hands from our attendees. Here we go. Couple comments. Sonia says that seems the new plan has a lot of space and not enough lanes. Thank you for the input. Robert says Industrial Avenue is heavily traveled and has no lighting. The road surface has washboarded and needs to be milled and repaved. Amazon has a large facility on Route 125 north, Andover, whose trucks use Industrial Ave for transiting to and from 495. Thank you for your input, Robert. Michael asks a follow-up. Will the PowerPoint be posted? Rob, do you know if a copy of the presentation will be posted on the webpage?
We can post a copy of the presentation.
Great. Thank you. Anonymous attendee asks by the website, do you mean the website that had this meeting information? Yes, that's correct. If you follow the QR code, it will direct you to the webpage on Mass DOT Highways events, and that will be where you can find the meeting resources for tonight's hearing. Thank you. Another comment from question, sorry, from an anonymous attendee. Why a bike lane and sidewalk on the connector?
You know, I'm going to pass this question over to someone on the VHB team who feels like they could respond to that.
Sure, Rob. We're just providing a wide shoulder and a sidewalk as standard practice for Mass DOT. It's not a dedicated bike lane. And there's a sidewalk on the bridges now.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Question from Sonia. There is a lot of room for the shoulders. Why not have an additional travel lane to reduce traffic jams during busy hours?
I'm sorry, Joe. I couldn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
Yes. Sonia asked, since there's a lot of room for the shoulders, why not have additional travel lanes to reduce traffic jams during busy hours?
I think the current design was designed for safety purposes, and that's why the wide shoulders were added. I don't think we looked at using them during peak hours. Tom, can you weigh in on that? Is that something that was thought about?
I can, and if Anu from our traffic group wants to jump in and supplement me, that's fine. But we did look at it, and even at peak hours, it seemed like based on the volumes, the projected volumes, that there really wasn't a need to have that extra lane out there, based on the study that we had done.
Okay, Tom, you just said it. Okay, I mean there isn't enough volume. If somebody wants to see numbers or have me talk about numbers, let me know. I can blur out the numbers, but there isn't enough volume to have two legs.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Anu. Got a question. Oh, sorry. Got a comment from Sean. Sean says, I do like the one-lane bridge on connector, especially eastbound, regarding the sidewalks and bicycle lanes on the connector there. There aren't sidewalks on the bridges now. The state may be inciting some safety issues there.
There are currently sidewalks on Industrial Ave, and we're going to put sidewalks back.
So I'll jump in on this one. There are no sidewalks on Industrial Ave today. We are proposing a safety walk on just the bridges, or the single bridge now. And there will be an 8-foot shoulder, and the project as proposed will be able to allow in the future, if need be, full bike and ped accommodations off the bridge. That would have to be a future project.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that, Scott.
So while we wait for potentially more comments and questions from the attendees, just like to let everyone know that there are two main ways to reach the major project section after tonight's hearing. First is email. That is the preferred method, but if you would like to send in written comments via snail mail, please feel free to address it to our chief engineer at MassDOT with the project file number. That's very important. An attendee asks, will meeting minutes be available after the meeting? There will be a transcript, and that will be available after the meeting on the project events webpage. Sean with a follow-up comment meant to inviting safety issues, not inciting. My apologies. No worries. Typos do happen. Thanks for your input. Rob, since it seems like there's no additional questions or comments coming from the participants tonight, I think we can give it a few more minutes and then, feel free to call it whenever you'd like.
Sure, I was thinking the same thing. We'll give it another couple of minutes and we'll see if anyone comes up with some questions.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Before we end, just one last time, I know, just have to hammer it home. There are two main ways to reach us after tonight's hearing. The first and preferred method is email to the Mass DOT major projects at dot.state.ma.us address. And then the second, also viable, just as viable, is to provide physical mail to the 10 Park Plaza office in Boston. Please provide the project file number, which is 609466, for both email and mail comments. And you can also visit our project events webpage by following the QR code or by copying and pasting the link you see on the screen. Since there are no more comments or raised hands, I'll pass it over to you, Rob.
Okay, great. So if there's no more questions, I'd like to thank you all for attending and providing input, all of which will be evaluated moving forward. This hearing is officially closed at 6:39. Thank you very much.